Well, the final boss has arrived. Not gonna lie, I did not expect to see a cancer cell pop up. Like, that's literally like a final boss. Because when you think about what cancer is in real life, it's usually like the end. I mean, there's cases where you can defeat it, but I mean, just like, that's usually what it means. And especially with a series that's like this, focusing on cells and stuff, you'd think something like a cancer cell, it would be like the final part of Cells at Work. But I don't think they're going to drag this out that long, unless it's really going to have a long arc focusing on the person's body having to overcome this, which that could potentially happen because this is a cancer cell. So just like, really shocked. I was really shocked with that, just that twist at the end of the episode. Like when NK's like, well, drop the act. I know you are a cancer cell. And I'm just like, oh crap. Like, oh crap. That was a really shocking moment for me. And then just seeing how he smiled, I'm like, things are about to get really bad. Because, see, if this was like a flu virus or anything like that, they can be deadly, yes. But that's one thing. But a cancer cell is another. Thankfully, NK was able to detect the cancer cell, because that is the biggest problem when it comes to stuff like that, which, let's get into it. Now, I don't have a major in biology or anything, but I know some details or aspects of stuff, and I do know that throughout the course of all of our lives, our body does have cancer. Like, when your cells are dividing and making more, some errors occur and cancer pops up. And before it gets really bad and all that, from what we really know of it when it comes to cancer, usually your cells, they eliminate it. For instance, NK that we saw in this episode, they eliminate it before it gets too bad. Every single one of us in our lifetime has had something like this happen to us, but we're just probably completely unaware of it. And in this case, that's what we have going on here. Even though you would think that this would be potentially the last boss, which I thought of, I would think would be the last boss, this is also something that's a very normal occurrence within the human body. All of us get cancer sometimes, and all of us, eventually have to overcome it, which our NK cells do. They get rid of it, and there you go, if it's detected. And I like how that was done within this episode, how the cancer cell was able to just fit in amongst everyone and act completely normal, honestly. Like, when you look at all the other main cast of characters, everybody looks very, like, JoJo-ish, honestly, but this is made by David Productions, so it makes sense. But when you see the regular cell, the man with the white shirt that turns out to be the cancer cell, you're like, he looks relatively normal, he doesn't look crazy or anything, he just is fitting in with the cast. But then when it's revealed, you're like, that makes sense, because there is some cancer cells that legit, they just hide amongst all the other cells, and your other cells can't detect it. They actually, in fact, help it grow. And that's probably what was going on here. When you saw how white blood cell and then you have T cell, they were working with, like, the cancer cell, it was kind of like what happens within your body. How, they're tricked, they don't really know it's a bad person or a bad cell, and they just go along with it thinking it's a normal cell. And, these cancer cell could easily manipulate them and be, like a heinous individual. And that's what happened here. So I just love the depiction of that within this episode. But once again, I just expected something like a cancer cell to be the final boss of, Cells at Work. It's just honestly what I figured that the series would try to do. Which maybe this is what I've been wanting. You remember what I talked about? Like, this series could easily have, like, a major crazy villain like Scarlet Fever. If you ever watch, Osmosis Jones, then you'll know about the final villain, which is like Scarlet Fever, which is honestly one of the creepiest villains, I think, in cartoons I watched growing up as a kid, because it is a legit thing that can happen to us, and it's just scary when you think about how, in a lot of ways, the viruses and bacteria that do attack us is honestly one of the greatest villains in history. I mean, think about the Black Plague for a second. So, just like, I like how this series is done. There's a lot of opportunities that the writer can do with this. And I do know that there's a darker series, Cells at Work Black. I know that depicts darker parts of the story. I've yet to actually read it. I do want to read it. I heard some good things about it. I think there's only like 3 chapters translated right now. Hopefully more do get translated, because I would like to read it, because I do like some darker stuff when it comes to stories, especially stuff like this. Okay, let's get back on topic though. So this episode, we go into the bone marrow. We get to see how red blood cells, white blood cells, just basically majority of the major cells are formed. The main majority of cells within our body are formed. And when you look at the inner workings of the bone marrow and how the cells are born, honestly, it's like a dystopia. Like, if this wasn't a cute series, like, if it didn't have, like, cute little platelets or, red blood cells and all that, or white blood cells that we saw within this episode, honestly, this series would be a dystopia. Because you see when they're children, they're just newborn cells, they're being forced to be whatever they want them to be. For instance, like, oh, this one has red hair, let's make this one a red blood cell and all that. And, when you think about it, none of them are given names. None of them have names. None of them have no ways really to understand who is who. I mean, we don't know from the story within this episode that red blood cell and white blood cell, they were like brother and sister working together and all that. And, white blood cell saved her at a young age, but they don't really even know each other because they don't have really any names to go by. So it shows that when you really take a harder look at what happens within the human body, it's like a dystopia. Our body is predetermining everything. Like, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do this. You got no choice in the matter. And that's what happened. It's kind of creepy. It really is. And this series could be very dark and have a very darker turn to it if it wanted to. So, it's fascinating how the human body works. And I think that's one of the big reasons why many have fallen in love with Cells at Work. It's because it's educational, it's cute, it has a darker tone to it when you really take a moment to think about it, and it's just something that you honestly don't see every single day when it comes to anime or manga. It's a very unique existence for the industry. So, yeah. Anyways, let's talk about the cutesy stuff. So, red blood cell, oh my god, she's adorable. Like, oh my god, like, I loved the platelets. I loved how they look time and time again. But I'm not gonna lie, seeing Lolly, red blood cell, she was adorable. Like, holy crap, adorable. And then all of them running in fear from the bacteria and all that, I'm just laughing. And then also seeing young white blood cell as well, I'm like, whoa, like, I did not know that the Shotas and the Lollies, like red blood cell and white blood cell, could just be so cute. It just really threw me for a loop because, I mean, I thought the platelets were going to be unchallenged. They were going to be the cutest existence within the human body, but obviously that is not the truth whatsoever after this week's episode. Now, speaking of cute and adorable and all that, let's go to the other side, the opposite end of the spectrum. Let's talk about NK for a second. Yo. I thought I loved Macrophage, like, I thought I loved her, but NK? She got the muscles, she got the, like, the tank top thing going on, she just got the nice voice acting, just like the way she looks. I'm just like, yo, she is bae, like, she is waifu status, like, man. I think she might be best girl of Cells at Work. I'm gonna say it right now. Because, like, look, I like Macrophage. I think she's cool. I love the maid look going on with her. But I really love NK. Just her design and all that was just freaking great. I need more of her. Hopefully, we get to see some really good action from her in the next episode. Because she is going up against something that could be considered the final boss of people's lives, honestly. So, yeah. Anyways, I think that's pretty much about it, I guess. I mean, I think I've covered everything besides the little infighting between T-Cell and NK-Cell. I'm just gonna say, I ship those two, by the way. They should definitely be together. Like, it's very obvious that they probably dated or something in the past. Also, I'm kind of curious. With them having, like, a mini fight going on within this episode, was that like something that actually happens within the human body? If anyone knows, like anyone that knows, how the body works more than I do, is there a reason to why T-Cell and NK started, like, arguing and bickering, because there has to be more meaning that besides just bickering. I mean, obviously this happens in anime and all that, and it's just a common cliche, and you're like, those two are perfect for each other, that's what I was already just saying, but I wonder if there's more meaning there besides that, like, for instance, those two type of cells fight within the human body over something, or was it the, the cancer cell that actually faked them out and caused them to start fighting? Was it because of that? If anyone knows the actual truth, be honest in the comments below. I am very curious. And so with that, I want to end this video here. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.